Good morning and good afternoon, students. So this is just a quick little reminder and review for the Unit 4 CCA on cultural diffusion. There's colonization on it, globalization, um, and a little bit of migration. Okay, so you're going to see those questions. There will be 15 questions on the test. It will be in Schoology, and then it will also be where you record your answers in Eduphoria like we've done before, but there are only 15 questions on the test. We're only testing two objectives, cultural diffusion and migration. And the test will be Tuesday. If you have oral accommodations, please bring your headphones so you can listen to the test. And make sure you have a pencil and something to write with, okay? So let's just review quickly some of the vocabulary. Cultural diffusion, like the Columbian Exchange, is where cultures have moved and moved from one region and moved with the people and moved to another region, and people have accepted those cultures. And remember the culture, all of the culture traits. So, and that's a review from last unit. So culture traits, language, food, holidays, celebrations, religion, even their government beliefs and how their government is run, economy, sports, art, architecture, all of those things are your culture and your culture traits. And when people from one region move, migrate, explore, colonize another region, those things go with them. So, for example, language, why we speak English here as our primary language is because of cultural diffusion, because the Europeans discovered the United States. It's why English and French are up in Canada, because the French and English discovered Canada, and why Spanish is down there in Mexico, Central America, and South America, in addition to Portuguese, because Spain and Portugal discovered and colonized that region. So language is one of the very first things that come over. Food, a lot of times, religion, those are the three big first culture traits that will come when people colonize other regions. Now, remember, our country as United States is very new. We're not a 5,000-year-old civilization. We've been here, but we were colonized and we were created and founded, and everything was developed because of the Europeans coming over and settling over here. Remember some examples of cultural diffusion. Music, that's a big one. And here's a good example. When here in America, when we are listening to music that is not necessarily created here. So when we have K-pop, Korean pop music, or we have Bollywood type music from India, that is not a American music. That is a music from other regions and other cultures, that because we're so diverse here and because we're so multicultural, that we listen to those creative and different types of music. And they do over there too. So our cultures go over there as well with those people. So globalization, let's talk a little bit about globalization. I know we've gone over that. It's the impact of businesses and money and all those other things that basically impact the entire globe. And that's why we have things like Spotify, which is created in Sweden, here in the United States. That's why Facebook is all over the world, because it's a global brand and it's globalization. Now, remember, when something affects one region, if there's natural disaster or there's horrible economic downturn, it will affect other areas of the world. And that's because we're very dependent on other areas, everything from oil to loans, to trade, to products, to, we looked in our room, all of the different things that were made outside of the United States, and very few things, Elmer's glue, the tape dispenser, Expo marker, were made outside of the United States, or made inside the United States. Everything else was made all over the place, from Jordan to China to Venezuela to Indonesia, Vietnam. All these things were made, and that's an impact of globalization. Okay, make sure you understand some of the popular American culture: blue jeans, fast food, listening to hip hop music, listening to country music. Those types of things are very American, right? Popular American culture. Make sure you understand why people would want to migrate or leave a country. Obviously, if there was civil unrest or turmoil or wars, or there was lack of employment, people would migrate to other countries. Again, excuse me, I still have this cold. Make sure that you are very, very, very well that you very well understand cultural diffusion, the Columbian Exchange, the Silk Road. Those are all examples of cultural diffusion and how products and religion and trades and ideas and innovations, all of those went from one place to another, either across oceans, like the Columbian Exchange, or on the Silk Road, which was just within Europe and Asia, okay, and North Africa. Let me think. Make sure you understand that diseases was also one of those big things that came over to over to the area of the United States or North America when the Europeans settled and discovered North America. And diseases was one of the biggest things that wiped out many of the Native Americans. Very negative effect of colonization and cultural diffusion. And there's lots of negative things about cultural diffusion, and there's lots of positive things. And you have to be able to make sure that you know the negative impacts, disease, maybe weapons or ammunition, conflict, wars are negative impacts of cultural diffusion. And then we have the positive effects of cultural diffusion, which is new food items and the creation of new ideas and innovations and things that have come over and have enticed people and created new philosophies and new ways of doing things, which wouldn't have been here if we didn't have people discover these lands and take back information and so forth. Make sure you know that the benefit to societies in result of cultural diffusion is that people have a very much more global view, that things are shared, that it's not small village traditional, that it's very capital, open, discoveries and things like that. So again, make sure you know that word globalization, cultural diffusion, migration, culture traits, culture, negative and positive impacts of cultural diffusion. Those are all key words, in addition to multicultural, that you're going to see on this test and you're going to see repeated over and over and over again. So those are terms that you want to make sure you look up if you have not memorized those or been able to apply those terms. Again, this test is mostly about cultural diffusion, globalization, and migration. So go back into your resources, your folders, your reviews, exit tickets, and look over those specific questions so you are prepared for your test. Okay, so make sure, again, you have a pencil, earphones if you need earphones for tomorrow, and be prepared for your test. On Thursday, we are having a benchmark. It is not going to be a tested major grade, but we do want you to do very well on it. We want you to showcase all of the things you've learned. It is information, data, and the results are looked at district-wide, and they do look back and see how we taught, how you learned, how you progressed. If you know information more now than you did when you came in, from where you went from elementary school through middle school. So it is very important that we collect accurate information. It's not something to play with, because we do go back and look at those, and we look specifically at students and why you've done well or why you haven't, or that you haven't progressed. And we use those facts to determine all sorts of things, interventions and placements and strategies and new teaching methods. And it's important for us to get accurate data, okay? So we can tailor everything we do around what works best for our students, okay? So again, you will have a test and you have a benchmark, and we're gonna start innovations and inventions and scientists next. And we're gonna do a really awesome research project, and you guys will get to pick an inventor and look at how they have basically shaped and changed our world. So start thinking of these people that you feel have impacted the world. Okay, get ready. You've got a test tomorrow.